Hello, hello, hello. Lovely to see so many of you joining. I'm really pleased to be here with you today. Do say hi. Let us know where you are in the world right now. I'm really looking forward to delivering this workshop for you. Great to have you here. And very grateful always that you would spend your lunch break or wherever you are in the world, part of your day. Your time is your most precious resource. So I'm very grateful that you would have, yeah, that you would give me the honor of sharing time with you. So really pleased to be here. Do say hello. Let us know where you're tuning in from. I cannot tell you the difference it makes when I'm delivering an online workshop to have your interaction. It lets me know that you're there, that that things I'm sharing are landing, that we're sharing space. So thank you in advance for all of your interactivity. It's greatly appreciated and makes such a big difference to someone like me that's presenting to you today. I'm so glad to be here. I am so glad to be here. Hi Emma, one of my good friends lives in Sevenoaks. And getting ready for breakfast, having some breakfast over in the US of A. Fabulous. Hello from Brussels, Korea. Hi everyone. Toronto, Singapore, Dublin. This is fantastic. What amazing international audience. Hi, Hannah. Um, Hey from Cape Town. How wonderful. Hi, Ellen. And Madrid. Awesome. Hello, Sarajevo. My goodness, I don't think we've ever had such an international audience. How wonderful is this? Hi, Kate. It is the most incredible thing about technology, isn't it? Is that we can come together from every corner of the globe and share a learning experience. Hi from Romania, Zambia. Wow, amazing. And Indonesia. Oh my goodness, isn't it extraordinary? And yet here we all are. Hi from Singapore. Hey from sunny Essex, Ontario, Germany, Japan. Wonderful. Wonderful. Gosh, how fabulous. How fabulous. So, what we can tell from everyone that is on this call today and just how international our audience is today is just how much adaptability is mattering to all of us, no matter what the culture, no matter where the geography, no matter the different experiences we're now going through geopolitically. For all of us, there seems to be this common thread, which is how on earth do I build the capability to thrive in the world we now live in? How can I develop that? And today I've taken some snippets from different workshops that I've been delivering, and different sessions that I've been running, keynotes I've been sharing with organizations that we work with. And I've brought that to you today to hopefully give you some insights and a roadmap so that you too can develop that adaptive capability that will enable you to reach and realize your potential with so much greater ease. So who am I? Well, I know lots of you on this call because I can recognize lots and lots of friendly names, but I also know there's plenty of you that haven't yet connected with me. So I'm grateful to have that chance today. I am the extremely proud founder of CNC Search, and this is my 27th year in search and recruitment. And I have the good fortune to have the most extraordinary team of women that many of whom I've worked with for many, many years that share the same values and drivers as me and deliver the most extraordinary service. I know that we have some of our clients on the line here too who know my team incredibly well. And that is my first love. I've been really fortunate to utilize my platform to develop the Academy, and I have multiple coaching accreditations, certifications, diplomas. I've just been awarded a fellowship at the Learning and Development Institute, and I'm really grateful to have the opportunity to help transform the relationship that individuals and teams have with their potential infinitely for the better. I get to build that bridge, and it's part of the work that gives me deep, deep fulfillment. And I'm so grateful that I can use opportunities like this to bring my work to you without charge so that you can hopefully take some of those insights to shift the needle just slightly to make all the difference for you. And if anybody wants to understand a little bit about what W Corp means, you're welcome to reach out to me. We're also B Corp certified. W Corp is about being able to build businesses where women can thrive, not just survive. And I know the founder very well indeed. So if anyone's looking to understand more about that and wants an introduction to Geeta, the founder, please do let me know. There's going to be tons of ways that we can continue to work together, to continue to build our relationship. And of course, two of those ways are for me to come into your organization, as I do with Accenture, Amazon, Sony, BlackRock, Warner Brothers. So many organizations use me as one of their primary trainers, Legal and General, many more. You are welcome to bring me into your organisation to deliver a workshop, keynote, or an in-person one-day full learning experience. Or, of course, if you'd like to work with us on hiring and one of our specialists, you will be in extraordinary hands. But we can talk a little bit about that later. But let's kick off with, what are you going to give to today's session? What are you personally going to give? Please put it in the chat. Please put it in the chat. It's really good for us to connect, and it builds the energy when we're all interacting. So me personally, I am going to give you my full presence. I'm going to try and empower you to take on board the tools I'm going to share with you today to help you to build your adaptability. I am going to give you my energy, my focus, my passion. That's what I'm going to give to you. So pop in the chat, what are you going to give to today's session? What are you going to bring to... We've got well over 300 of you live. What are you bringing? What are you giving? Let's share our intentions of how we're going to show up, and what we're going to share with today for today's audience and session. And thank you so much for all of your fantastic, fabulous inputs. It makes such a big difference to hear from you all. Wonderful. And of course, we are about to move on to the second part of this, which is just as important. Oh, Geeta is on the call. So the founder of W Corp, everybody, is on the call. I will ask her to put her contact information, into the chat later on in the session so that you can reach out to her directly as well as me connect you. What are you going to get? So what are you going to get? Just as important, give and get, the yin and yang. What are you going to get from today's session? Why are you here? You have invested your precious, precious time here today. You've brought yourself to this webinar. You sat down with a cup of tea, maybe your breakfast, your lunch, who knows? And I would love to know what you're going to get. What are you here for? Why? Why be here today? What are you going to take? What matters to you most? Hi, Laura. Nice to see you. Moving country. Gosh, that takes some courage. Big respect for that. Big respect for that. Fab. We've got some brilliant intention around what you're going to give, what you're going to get. And just whilst we're sharing this, to remind you that this is a safe space. We are in a container. We are here to support and cheerlead each other, to share brilliant insights, to really contribute. We are absolutely not here to correct or criticize. You can keep that to yourself. We've got enough of that in this world. We're here to cheerlead one another and support one another only, just to really highlight that. And what is shared here stays here. I ask you to speak from your own experience, not for other people, whilst you're on this session today. Hi, Paula. God, it's ages since I've seen you. How you doing? Nice to see you. Hi, Peachy. Oh my God, there's some people on here I have not seen for ages. It's so nice to connect. Let me introduce you to what I believe is an endangered species. And this endangered species is the relaxed woman. Now, you can apply this to pretty much all genders, but I am referring today, for the purpose of this webinar, to the relaxed woman. I do not mean the woman that is currently at a spa. I do not mean a woman that is currently burning candles, sat in a bath. I mean genuinely an endangered species, a relaxed woman. Apply to your gender as you wish. Do you understand what I might be sharing here? When was the last time you spoke to one of your friends that was generally just moving through life in a relaxed way, in a way with ease, feeling calm and capable? Not many, not many. And we're going to explore as to why that is and how on earth we too can become a relaxed human being, able to move through life with grace and ease. Can I ask you a question? What's happened to all your best laid plans over the last 3 years? I do not know of another founder or another person that I've coached or when I've gone into an organization to deliver a workshop. I don't know anyone whose plans have gone perfectly over the last 3 years. How about you guys? Have your plans gone perfectly over the last 3 years? Has everything just slid into place? Has everything just ticked a box? Or perhaps there's been certain curveballs. I know that since COVID, the world has been and felt the most the most unstable, the most uncertain. The change that is happening now is change at pace we have never, ever, ever witnessed or seen before. And most of our best laid plans are having to be altered on a continuous basis. And continually, we're having to find new ways to adapt, new ways to survive. Whether it's the cost of living crisis, whether it's AI, whether it's geopolitical, whether it's economic. I mean, we have seen more change in the last couple of years than I truly believe we have seen in decades. Seen in decades. A roller coaster ride, Suzanne. I hear you. I hear you. So today, I'm not interested in sharing with you how you can feel the fear and do it anyway, how you've just got to lean in. I'm not interested in sharing with you how to tough it out. I'm certainly not interested in talking about resilience. I want to talk about our ability to bend, to shift, to move with the winds of and the tides of change, and share with you some of the ways that I can support you in reaching a place where you can stand firm and bend at the same time so that you can have the adaptability you so deserve. Because we are under some serious pressure here, aren't we? We are under some serious pressure to adapt, but most of us do not have the tools to do so. We are seeing women leaving middle and senior management roles at rates we have not seen before. We are seeing CEOs burning out. We are seeing acute levels of collective anxiety. You hear the word all the time: burnout, overwhelm, anxiety. I'm anxious. We're now hearing, an absolute tsunami of individuals struggling with mental health. And most of us do not feel capable or equipped to handle the sea change that's coming our way. I mean, 94% of us, apparently, according to McKinsey, we require new skills. What are they? What do they look like? How do we obtain them? And what do they mean for us as human beings rather than human doings? What does it mean? And this feeling of what on earth does the future look like, of course, keeps us stuck and in paralysis. However, I am a strong believer that most fear is false evidence appearing real. So where do we go from here? Well, I'd like to know from you all, what is adaptability to you? What is adaptability to you? What does it mean? Share with me in the comments, what does it mean to you? What does adaptability mean? What does it look like? What does it mean to you? Being open, power to go through life, to blend, to flow, Versatility, riding the waves. I like that. Yeah. Taking one step at a time. Mm. And of course, if we were in a room one to one, I'd want to really understand what your relationship with adaptability is. Where's your resistance? And it is a skill. So the great news is it's not something you have or don't have. It's something we all have, but it's a skill that we can hone, we can develop, we can grow. It's flexible thinking. It's emotional intelligence. It's regulation. It's action before it's being able to take the power of the pause. It's calm, it's grace, and it's learning from feedback, learning from the change, taking the data. But what it absolutely isn't, and what is on this slide, which I believe is one of the words that we have weaponized most in the way that we navigate the world, it is not about just being fine. It's not those old British adage of keep calm and carry on, or stiff upper lip, or lay back and think of England. I mean, where on earth that term came from, I have no idea. However, it is not about pretending everything is fine. It is not about passive and people pleasing and shape shifting just to get through. You know, the exploding doormat. I certainly spent a lot of my life as an exploding doormat. I would people please and let people walk all over me and let people drive an agenda and then explode. Does anyone relate to being an exploding doormat? That was me for so much of my 20s and 30s. Let me tell you, it's not a fun place to be, pretty disempowering. So it isn't about rigidity. It's not about black and white, and it's certainly not about avoiding discomfort. Adaptability is absolutely about learning to embrace and live with discomfort. So it's not also about being upbeat. It's not about sharing positive quote after positive quote. It's not about toxic positivity. It's about resourcefulness and responsiveness. Because what we're facing right now, where we're at right now, is this huge wisdom gap, this big wisdom gap that we have. So we have this ever increasing complexity of issues, and we have an ever decreasing capacity to respond. Why? Well, we live in a generation of compare and despair, of instantaneous gratification. We live in a space where we are taught that happiness is our birthright, that somehow we should be happy all the time, that somehow things should be easy all the time. We are being overloaded by demands and by expectation. And we carry a very big, hey, James, I haven't seen you for ages either. And we carry a really big load. We're carrying a bigger load than we have ever carried in many ways, despite the fact our life, in terms of where most of you are at the moment in the world and where I am, is the easiest it's ever been in so many ways in terms of our comfort levels. You know, 50 years ago, I wouldn't have been able to just grab a hot shower. Only 50 years ago. Now, I have hot water on tap whenever I want it. Extraordinary levels of comfort. But this is what we are carrying. We are carrying this massive load, and it's a lot. And so to build adaptability, to build this capability and capacity around adaptability, is about creating this incredibly flexible but strong foundation. For me, it's a sense of being on dry land, even when I have the sea around me, and the sea might be choppy. Sometimes the sea might be colossal waves. Sometimes it might be super calm, but I'm always on dry land. Because on top of the load that you are carrying, all of these things, we have the curse of all of the shoulds. We have all of the things that we think we should be all of the time. And believe you me, all of these things keep us stuck from building adaptability as a skill. They keep us playing small. They keep us feeling not enough. They keep us feeling inadequate, incapable, unworthy. And that stops that adaptability skill being built because we don't feel like we have the scaffolding, the toolbox. So take a look at these shoulds, see where you can see yourself. What are the things you are carrying, like rocks in a bag, that are keeping you held back from stepping into that potential through building adaptability? What do yours look like? What do yours look like? I know for me that I have, and still sometimes have, a relationship with a lot of shoulds, things I should be, things I could be, things I ought to be. So take a look. I mean, being ageless now as a woman is such a thing, right? You are not allowed to even age on top of everything else. So what do yours look like? So we're starting to get a picture of why adaptability is so tough. We are starting to really get a picture of what this looks like for us and why the structures that we are trying to operate in are so damn challenging. And my goodness, it feels hard, doesn't it? It feels so hard. And our brain is hardwired for homeostasis. It's hardwired for a feeling of safety, for a feeling of the same. It's why we go back to old habits, old behaviors all the time, because we like what we know and we tend to know what we like. And the thing is we have these two parts of our brain, don't we? And most of you will be completely aware of this. Your emotional brain, your rational brain, people often refer to it as. And to adapt to change, we have to get these two parts of our brain feeling at one with each other. And you may or may not have come across the elephant and the rider analogy of our brain. So the rider is considered to be the rational brain, the prefrontal cortex, and the emotional brain is considered to be the elephant. And consider the size of the elephant and consider the size of the rider. And ultimately, the rider can try and maneuver the elephant as much as it possibly can. But without the emotional brain, the elephant wanting to move, it's almost impossible. So we have to learn to get these two parts of the brain in sync with each other. And there's ways we can do that. And of course, we're talking about neuroplasticity. And the amazing thing about being human, well, my most favorite thing about being human is I get to pick one thought over another. Fabulous. And the second thing is that we can rewire with intention our brains. And we're going to take a little look at how we can touch on that today. I mean, we've only got about half an hour left or so today. So it's not going to be the silver bullet. However, I'm going to touch on how we can start to tweak it because it is really hard. Change is tough. And now we're dealing with this barrage of change and trying to deal with the world feeling upside down, back to front, inside out, where we are polarized, where we are dealing with authoritarian regimes popping up in places that we never imagined authoritarian regimes would. And I bet that you can identify with this emotional journey of change. There are so many aspects to handling change, and all of them take a lot of energy. So if we can help ourselves to build the scaffolding, to be able to process and then grab a tool that helps us to move forwards whilst taking the data and the learning without having to work with the denial, the disillusionment, the depression, the threat, the guilt. Imagine how different this journey could be, and imagine how wonderful it will be as we start to be able to help ourselves get on our own side. You as the architect of your adaptability, you in that empowered place, not victim, persecutor, rescuer, but you as the coach and the challenger, able to build your own adaptability, able to build your own dry land. So it's not about personality, it's about practice. this can be built. And your brain can be golden rather than a dark place that you never want to visit alone on your own. And God knows I have been there myself at times. So let's just have a little check-in. I would like you to add up your scores. There's no right answer. And any score that's a little lower than you'd like it to be is just data and opportunity, opens up space with awareness to lean in. So how are you doing? This is a little quick sense check on how adaptability might be feeling for you right now. Do you bounce back quickly after setbacks? Are you able to reframe challenges and get really honest with yourself? To reframe challenges as opportunities for growth? Are you able to remain calm and effective? Remember that word, effective, in uncertainty? Or do you sometimes experience, which I certainly have, is a sense of almost paralysis in that fight, flight, freeze, fawn mode? Are you able just to adjust your routines, seek feedback, comfortable experimenting without knowing the full outcomes? Can you regulate when pressure is high, when you know your stress system is sending lots of alerts? Can you breathe and stretch, or do you contract and keep calm and carry on? Are you able to confidently lead others during change? How are you doing with that score? Where are you sitting at the moment? What's it sharing with you? Claire, we're very good at that, right? I think that's called wearing masks. And my goodness me, I know myself, I have been there many, many, many times. The idea of the swan or the duck swimming on the water and paddling madly underneath. So your score is just simply an indicator out of 40 of where you are sat at the moment. And of course, right, it changes if you have been impacted by ill health or redundancy or divorce or any sudden change in your circumstances. Sometimes our adaptability, our resourcefulness can feel diminished. So these are a moment in time. When you look at this list, what do you know would make the most difference to you? So if you think about your score, so many of you have done quick maths, well done. When you look at this and you think, that's the thing right now that would make a big difference to me. If I could focus on, and I have really worked hard on seeking feedback. Now, I have always thought to myself, I'm great at receiving feedback, but actually someone that's great at receiving feedback doesn't spend weeks and weeks agonizing over the piece of feedback, beating themselves up, wishing they were different. And that's what I used to do. So I would pretend to everyone on the outside that I'm fabulous at receiving feedback. Truth was, not good at all. So I worked really hard to ask for feedback, and only from people I respect. But I work hard on asking for feedback now and receiving it with the intention it has been given and using it as rocket fuel rather than a tool to beat myself up with. Regulation is something I have had to work incredibly hard on, unbelievably hard. And lots of really unexpected and challenging things have happened in my life. And no doubt yours too. But I had a diagnosis of complex PTSD, and I realized that actually that has taken, that piece around emotional regulation has taken huge amounts of work for me and is ongoing, absolutely ongoing. Okay, so we're building our awareness, we're building our knowledge, we're noticing where are exciting opportunities for experiencing the world rather than a terrifying, fearful place to be wary of, can become a world which is full of opportunity and beauty and awe and challenge and change, and they can all coexist at the same time. But I don't know about you. I've absolutely lived my life in places where I just felt the world was somewhere to be feared, and somewhere to sort of tool up for rather than somewhere to be embraced, and to be able to have that duality, the challenge, the change, the conflict, as well as the beauty, the awe, the opportunity. Women never feel safe. That is so true. That is so true. I hear you. I'd like to share with you a list of universal feelings. So unless you are in that sort of 3-4% of the population that happens to be a narcissist, sociopath, or psychopath, we all experience these feelings. Yes, even the people you dislike the very most have universal experiences of feelings. Take a little look at adaptability and feelings. What does it feel like for you? Adaptability. Get really clear. What could this feeling be for you? What could you embody? Take a look at the universal feelings. So think about that old paradigm being much more around those feelings on the bottom of this universal feelings list. And please share back with me. Let me feel connected to you. What does adaptability feel like to you? It may not feel it right now. So what could it feel like if you had more adaptability? Grounded. Love that word. Grounded. Yes. Yes, that resonates with me too. What else? What else? Freedom. Great word. Comfortable, intrigued. Yeah. Great words. Empowered. Nice. Love that. Determined. Yes. Safe, curious, calm. Hi, Barbie. Love these. Brilliant words, brilliant feelings. And to start to really get clear on what it might feel like is where you start to really engage that elephant brain. So the biggest part of your brain is going to start to be able to visualize what we're moving towards. It's going to start to want it. And that's why it's so clear to get really, really acutely aware of what this feeling might be that we can embody. And remember, adaptability does not mean that life is not going to be bloody difficult at times. It does not mean that challenge, that conflict is not going to come your way. It absolutely is, but you're going to be able to bend with it rather than go through that hugely exhausting disillusionment and everything else that we just touched on. And I love the word empowered. Now, I know that empowered is a bit like the word journey. It is overused. In every piece of marketing that you ever see, you will be empowered to blah, 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 blah. But I still love it. It feels good. It feels good in my body. George, I know what you are saying. What needs would it mean? Because all of our feelings are an expression of needs that are met or unmet. So again, these needs are universal. Yes, even your most disliked family member has the same needs as you. So take a look. What needs would it meet? What needs would it meet? I remember being quite a growth, sort of, I don't know, maybe a bit of an awakening moment when I realized that even my ex-husband had the same needs as me. So what are the needs? What are the needs that it would meet? Because this matters. And we are so out of touch with what we need for that solid ground with the waves around us, where we know that we have that land, we have that capability. So adaptability, which of your needs would it meet? Which of your needs are not being met at the moment because of a lack of adaptability? So what would it mean to you? And for me, the big one is trust. Trust that I've got the tools to get through. Trust that I have the capability, the wisdom, the knowledge, the resourcefulness. Sometimes it might be after a massive bar of chocolate, but that's okay. Yeah. Agency. Nice. Yeah. So I've come up with a little bit of a formula. I've come up with a little bit of a formula. Now, this is my formula for building adaptability. And I've created this really just for today because we had such a short period of time and it's such a massive topic. And how could I share some knowledge in the best way possible, in the shortest form possible? And our brain loves threes. So mindset, mechanic, and movement. And I do not mean the mindset gaslight that we have as particularly as women all of the time. You are not broken. You do not need fixing. But I'm just going to talk about the way that we are able to see the world through our mindset, the mechanics, so the rituals, the routines, the rest, and the movement, the action. And of course, these are overlapping because they're interacted. These all create our shared reality. Each element supports each other. And with each element, if any of those are missing, adaptability, of course, diminishes. And we're going to have just a bit of a deep dive. But I've asked you to get super clear on what feeling it would create and what need it would meet so that we can get that elephant wanting to move. Because, of course, your rational brain knows that adaptability and building that skill is a good thing. It's why you signed up today. This is obviously a good thing. This is obviously what I need. But what does it feel like? We're getting clearer on, but where in your body? So for me, when I am feeling adaptable, capable, I feel really centered. So I have that feeling, it's in my gut. It feels like I'm breathing into my belly, not up here. So I can feel it in my gut. So where in your body does adaptability sit? Steady presence? Or is it creative problem solving? So perhaps yours is more in your head. Is it energy? So does it feel like a swirling circular motion? Is it real trust in your ability? I've got to give you an insight. I'm sat in a room at the moment that is so hot that as a sort of perimenopausal woman, it's like some sort of torture chamber. It's boiling in here. Um, I have no other layers to take off, not without horrifying you all. Okay, so because what it doesn't feel like, remember, it does not feel like control. Control is an illusion. It does not feel like control. I was sat with a board of leaders, and the first response we were talking about adaptability was, it feels like I'm in control. Well, control is an illusion. None of us are in control. Look at the world. None of us are truly in control. It doesn't feel like avoidance. It's not sat in the wine, the booze, the shopping, the food, the scrolling, the likes, the gossip. It doesn't sit in avoidance or rigidness, that black and white, divisive. Everyone is looking for an excuse to be offended. Everyone's looking for an excuse to be angry. Everyone's looking for an excuse to tear someone else down. It absolutely does not sit in that rigidity. And it doesn't feel like panic. It does not feel like panic. And it's okay if it has. It has for me too. It's felt like control. It's felt like panic. It's felt like avoidance. All of the above. I am my own best student. So remember, this is not an excuse to should on ourselves. This is an opportunity to open up to what's possible for us, with the footnote that life will still be challenging as hell at times. That will not change. I think it feels a lot like this adaptability for me. And I have had tons and tons and tons of moments in my life that have required adaptability. But for a very long time, I met those moments in my life. There's been loads, but as well, perhaps one I'm really comfortable to share is, when I had a 15-month-old baby. I'd been married for, I would have been 2 years at that point, and I found out that the person I was with had actually been having an affair, multiple affairs, but had been having an affair for many years. And people say, why didn't you know? And I think that's probably victim blaming, but maybe I chose not to see it. God knows, but I didn't. And so this affair came to light. And then I found out he'd left me in a ton of debt. And then I had gone to the doctors, had a scan, and blah, 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 and found out I had a growth that needed to be removed. And James, honest, that's funny. That was a big plot twist, right? And that big plot twist, I met with resistance. I met with feeling like, why is this happening to me? How could this be happening to me? Just my luck. It was exhausting and it diminished my agency. Now, I am not saying that you cannot experience all the feelings when plot twists coming, but I am also sharing that I live in a different way now. And an easy one for a plan B is COVID. Right, we all experience COVID. We all probably have some level of PTSD from COVID, I think, on many levels as a collective humanity. But plan B, that is a plan B, right? COVID was a massive plan B. And those people that I saw able to navigate that were people that were able to stand on solid ground with the waves around them, knowing and understanding that they had the strengths, they had the values to move their way through it, whilst not trying to numb out the challenging feelings, but to be able to process that. So it's a bit like surrender, isn't it? Surrendering to what is, acknowledging that you cannot fight reality. It is a fight you will only set yourself up to lose. And that is my easiest way to describe it when change is coming your way, is do you try and get the boxing gloves on and fight this invisible thing for ages through all of the different ways that we do that, through avoidance, through blame, through anger, through resentment, through shutdown. Perhaps if I just bury my head in the sand, I can pop my head back up and this will all just be over. And then, of course, the layers of shopping and Netflix and scrolling and eating and drinking and any other substances you might wish to utilize. And yet still reality still there, right? You finish the bottle of wine the next day, the reality is still there. Or do you not choose to put the boxing gloves on? And do you choose to tap into your own sense of wisdom and capability to use the communities around you that you trust to draw on, to use the data, to lean into the learnings, and to give yourself the scaffolding? We're going to look at what that might be. So let's have a look at this thing called mindset. And I have a slightly challenging relationship with the word mindset, but I think it works for what we're talking about today, which is ultimately, what do you believe? There's two things that I would encourage each and every one of you to do, which is to know your strengths. And there's a VIA Strengths Finder. Anna, if you are on the line, I don't know if you can possibly share the link to that. The VIA Strengths Finder, so that you are really clear on what your superpowers are. We will, all of us, have many things that we are not so strong at, but every single one of you on this call has superpowers, things you are damn good at that no one else is or has the same formula of strengths that you do. It's a 1.7 trillion chance of you being born exactly as you are today. The fact that we popped up in the world is a miracle. So you have incredible strengths. Knowing them starts to help you to understand that you are able to feel of worth. And when we feel of worth, when we know what we have to bring to the world, it starts to create this ability to become more adaptable, because we're able to start to notice what strengths we have to draw on when challenge comes our way. And feelings as data, and being able to understand how we're feeling. So identifying, what are my feelings? What are my needs? Knowing that all of our feelings are expressions of met and unmet need. Again, helps us to be more adaptable, because we don't need all those masking tools. We can meet our needs in a way that doesn't hurt ourselves or others. Knowing what your values are is also really critical. Now, interestingly, you're strange and you're strange. We're not getting into your strange right now. Your strengths and your values meet. And they're really interconnected. But using your values through which to make your next choice when faced with real challenge is an incredibly safe way to make choices for you. So knowing your values, and most of us don't, knowing your values and knowing your strengths. So this is about identity flexibility. Just because you've always done things a certain way does not mean you cannot push out off from here and start to explore the opportunity that another way of showing up in the world is available to you. Another way of experiencing the world is available to you. None of this is victim blaming. Bad things happen because bad people do things. This is not about that. But this is about our identity being flexible. So, sometimes you hear people say things like, oh, I'm always going to be X. I'm always going to be Y. I'm never going to be confident. That's that rigid thinking that will never help us be adaptable. So this thing around what we believe about our worth and who we are and what strengths we have, so the ability to know that we have the tools to move our way through, to not put the boxing gloves and fight with something invisible, to be able to surrender to reality and then move our way through it. Really important. And I think we are going to be, so I'm just going to let everybody know because we've been 45 minutes already. I promise you we will finish bang on 1:30. So for those of you, or 1:30 BST, but by past for everyone else that's in a different time zone, I promise we'll finish bang on then. If you have to leave now, don't worry, I totally understand. The second, what we practice, so the mechanics. So we're talking about the architecture of our adaptability, rituals, routines, state management. So for me, some of the things that work most to help me shift my state is breathing, stretching. I use things like essential oils to change my state. So peppermint for me is amazing at bringing in that kind of, that really strong perspective, that thinking capability. And cognitive flexibility, what on earth do I mean by that? Well, I mean being able to ask ourselves, what else could be true in this moment? What else could be true? So if I'm experiencing one of those limiting beliefs or my imposter syndrome or whatever else it might be, is starting to develop my capability to be super curious in a way that's going to help me to move through things. How have I moved through something similar in the past? What's worked for me before? Who might be able to support me best in this moment? Whatever it might be, but what else could be true is really, really helpful. What's a ritual that helps you stay centered? Let's just share. So, if you think about rituals and routines, altering your state, not by food or booze or shopping, but actually genuinely being able to put ourselves in a place where we feel safer. What works for you? So, movement, exercise, yes, being in nature. Yep, 100%. Yoga. Yeah, breath work. Get away in a camper van. Cold water plunge. Yeah, lavender. Yeah, faith rituals, absolutely. Yeah, faith is an amazing, amazing tool to lean on for sure. Nice. Some fabulous ones. And then the next piece for me is around action. So, what is action I can take? We can't think our way into a new way of feeling and acting. We need to act our way into a new way of thinking and feeling. So, how do we take action? And it's small action that create big wins. The smallest of actions, we set ourselves up to fail all the time by having these colossal expectations of what we can possibly achieve. And when we don't, we throw everything out, throw the baby out with the bathwater is the saying, and we move back to where we were and we go round in a cycle again, none of which is helping to build our adaptability. But it's about those small actions, about the reach out. It's about sending the email. It's about Maybe it's about a piece of self-care in that moment. And it's about that piece, isn't it? About debriefing, not dwelling. So, doing whatever that looks like for you, speaking it out, whether it's journaling, and it's just taking the learnings, it's taking the wisdom, sometimes it's taking a lesson. I had that last week, and it was a lesson I needed, but taking action. Yes, it helps us to build up adaptability because it's sending us that message all the time. A, that we're worthy of acting in a way that's on our own side. And also, it builds confidence because taking action builds the confidence skill too, which of course further enhances our capability to realize our adaptability. So you might be starting to think, okay, this adaptability thing is something I can definitely embrace. And for me, it's about looking at rituals and routines. What's one that you can tweak this coming week that might help to enhance your adaptability? Are you taking time for that reflection? Or are you constantly in that doing, doing, doing? Is there a place of being for you during the week? And for me also, when I say rehearsing challenges, what I do not mean is I do not mean catastrophizing. What I mean is that when something is coming up for me that is challenging or I'm anticipating could be challenging, I work through it in my brain. Okay, it might be this scenario. How does that feel? What feelings might that give me? What needs that meet or not meet? How could I work through that? What action could I take? And then working through different challenges with different outcomes and seeing, well, sometimes it is making peace with worst case scenario and working with that and then so on and so forth. But actually running through them and working with them. So it's all micro adjustments and they change neural pathways over time. These will genuinely change how you think, act, and feel over time, your capability, your resourcefulness. Now, I don't want to go through death by PowerPoint. Nobody wants that. But this that I'd like to share with you is critical because this is what we are taught in society right now is unacceptable, not needed, that you can be a productivity machine 24/7 with a side hustle on Instagram or OnlyFans that's going to bring you in millions of pounds and that's what your worth is based on. And of course, this is not what is going to build your adaptability, is a sense that you are a productivity machine and that if you are dropping any ball whatsoever in any area of your life that you are somehow lacking. Rest is imperative to becoming that relaxed woman or person able to move through life on solid ground. So this is just, I'm going to share, I'll share this with you after today's session. Perhaps take some reflection on where you could bring in intentional rest. And rest is not scrolling. That is numbing. One of my teenagers said, I'm resting. I'm like, you're not, you're scrolling. That is numbing. Doom scrolling, exactly. Hi, Tracy. So rest, taking a look at what is speaking to you here. And regulation. How are you regulating? How are you working with your emotions rather than ignoring and masking them? How are you taking care of your regulation? And for me, rest, regulation, and rituals, and looking at that architecture of our ability to be adaptable is so critical. Again, I'll share these with you. And then rituals. And then rituals. How are you building in rituals that build your solid ground? So rituals, rest, and regulation, key to underpinning that architecture of adaptability. And I'll share these with you. I didn't realize how fast this time was going to go today. So what is your commitment to yourself? I'd like you to put it in the chat box. I'd love to hear it. What is your commitment to you? We've had a very short session where we have looked at mindset, mechanics, and movement underpinned by rest, relaxation, and regulation. Where are you going to build that muscle? Where are you going? How are you going to build that architecture? How are you going to build it? Taking a look at what we have touched upon. What is this saying to you? What do you know it is that you need? What do you know that it is you need? So I know that there's a couple of things I want to leave you with today. First of all, thank you so much for being here. And I shared with you at the beginning, I've got a couple of in-person workshops coming up that I want to tell you about, that I want to share with you, that I'm very, very excited about. And then I also want to highlight, I mean, I don't think Geeta's actually ever been on one of my webinars, but I always mention W Corp. I'm very, very fortunate to be a W Corp ambassador. Every single organization that you are in should be W Corp certified. If you want to build a business, or any business wants to be able to create a business where women can thrive and not just survive, it is imperative, critical, so important. It's more important than the work that we did with becoming B Corp. So Geeta is here. Geeta, please put in your contact information, and I will be able to connect you with Geeta if you don't have an opportunity to get Geeta's contact information now. Geeta may have had to come off the call. I don't know if she's still here. But just before you leave, please note, you can join me in person in September and October. I have 2 in-person 1-day workshops in full, beautiful surroundings where you are going to have the opportunity to connect with one another, learn from me. The content is off the page and the day is dynamic and really interactive, really deeply interactive, and I'd love to have you there. We launched on Friday. We've only got 24 spaces on each day, and we've had to put 2 new days on because the first one sold out straight away. So come and join me for that. And if you want to become a better communicator, you can join me for a 1-day workshop on the 3rd of October. I would love to see you there too. So we have some brilliant 1-day workshops. Please get in touch with Geeta. If you need to, I can connect you too. I am so grateful for you being here. Thank you, thank you, thank you. I hope that I have the opportunity to work with you or your organization very, very soon. I would love to speak to you more, keep the conversation going. Reach out to me if you would like to connect with me. Share on LinkedIn. I'm a small business after all, and I really need your cheerleading. God knows we can really help each other, and I'll help our small businesses. So thank you for being with me today. I appreciate you. It's so good to have been here. I will share the rest and regulation and rituals with you. Come back to me with your feedback. Thank you for being here today, everyone. So grateful. Thanks, Sarah. Hi, I thought it was you. Hello. So many friends on the call and so many new relationships as well. So I'm so grateful. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you. Take care, everyone, and have a really wonderful rest of the day wherever you are in the world. Thank you for having me, and I will speak to you very soon. Thanks, everyone. You take good care of yourselves. Thank you. I'm so glad it was interesting. Thank you, everyone. Thanks for your kind comments. It means a lot, makes a big difference. Thanks. Take care. Have a good rest of your day.